Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. Earn 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. And with a welcome offer of 150,000 points after you spend $20,000 on purchases on the card within your first 3 months of membership, your business can soar to new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
Did my card go through?
Oh no.
Your small business depends on its internet, so switch to Verizon Business. And you could get LTE business internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data for unlimited business.
There we go.
Get the internet you need at the price you want. Verizon Business. Starting price for LTE business internet, 25 megabits per second, unlimited data plan with select Verizon Business smartphone plan savings. Terms apply.
Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to help you make the most of your summer with Michelob Ultra, a superior light beer worth playing for. Play for it with the guys when you're competing to see who can sink more birdies on the golf course, because winning tastes even better with Ultra on the line. Play for Ultra. Fill your fridge with Michelob Ultra this summer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
It's summer. Time to enjoy long days, lazy nights, and zero cooking. Because Uber Eats has deals all summer long. So, when hunger strikes, don't sweat it. Delicious deals are just a tap away on Uber Eats. Enjoy all your favorite food delivered straight to you. Get Burger King, Subway, Popeyes, and hundreds more local favorites and savor every last bite. Now that sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros. Word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Hello, and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. My name is Austin, also known as Teacup.
And my name is Shelby, also known as Shecup.
Join us as we embark on unraveling all of your favorite mysteries from the Assassin's Creed universe. From assassins to Templars to the mysterious Isu and more. We will seek to uncover it all, so join us and maybe even take a leap of faith.
Hello and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. My name is Shelby, or Shecup.
And I am Austin, or Teacup.
And we're super excited to be here today. We're here to talk about Assassin's Creed, obviously, specifically the lore of Assassin's Creed and how it relates to our world today. So today we are continuing, more like finishing up, honestly, our Isu series. So I think we're talking about a couple different ones today. Is that right, Austin?
Yeah, we're talking about 3 different Isu today. And I want to preface this. You will notice that a certain Isu we did not cover, even though we've mentioned, and that is Aida. Aida will come up later because he's such an involved character that he really deserves his own character deep dive, just because of his connection to the sages. And we'll cover him a lot in the Sage episode as well. All right, well, when we get to the Sage episode, we'll talk a little bit more about, but information about Aida is coming. It's just not in this part of us covering the Isu. There's a lot to do with the Isu, and we could be talking about it until 2025. So we're breaking it up a little bit.
Yeah, we could talk about the Isu for forever. I feel like the Isu are one of the defining characteristics of Assassin's Creed. Like, obviously, other than gameplay and the assassins, but like that's one of the things that makes this universe unique.
Yes, very much so.
So I feel like there's a lot to talk about with them.
Right. So I will let you know that these 3 Isu, we do actually not know a lot about, but we're going to go through what we do know about them. And then after the mid-break, we're going to talk about some Assassin's Creed news later on. And so stay tuned if you want to hear about our thoughts and our thing on the most recent Assassin's Creed update that has been released. Stay tuned after the mid-break and we'll get into it. So today we are talking about Hades, Poseidon, and Hermes. That's how they say it in-game with the weird Greek pronunciation or whatever.
I've just always heard it as Hermes. I guess I haven't gotten to the game that he's in yet. So
right. So they say Hermes, and they also say like Persephone and
Persephone. I used to say it like that when I was a little kid, like reading Greek mythology stuff. That's how I pronounced it in my head until I heard somebody else say it out loud.
Right. Which, that could be, you've taken ancient Greek or biblical Greek at least. So you would know probably if you saw it. So we're going to start with the king of the underworld himself, Hades, also known as the Mad King, not to be confused with the Mad One, which is a name for Odin Havi. So,
also, this is at this point an obligatory reference in every episode, not to be confused with the Mad King Targaryen either.
Correct. So he's obviously god of the underworld, which is still kind of iffy. Like Asgard and Jotunheim are places on Earth. We're not really sure what's up with these realms that we experience in the Atlantis simulations, because they are simulations. So they are presented in a way in which a 5th century BCE Greek mercenary would understand it.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. I do feel like they want us to be confused about it, though.
Right. So, but like Cassandra, when she experiences it and she meets the souls of the dead. So it's very confusing on whether or not it's the actual underworld or it's something else. Which the Isu have already proved that there is such a thing as some sort of consciousness that exists outside of our body. So who knows? It's very confusing. I honestly think Ubisoft might have not thought it through all the way. But so at some point in Isu history, through the interference of Zeus, Hades is able to kidnap Persephone and marries her, which is pretty straightforward in the myth. I don't know if Zeus is involved in the myth of Persephone's kidnapping. I know there's a lot of interpretations that revolve around that particular myth. But in this one, Zeus helps Hades kidnap Persephone. And sorry for all of you Persephone and Hades shippers out there in the Assassin's Creed world. They are not in love. They do not really like each other. Or Persephone doesn't really like Hades.
I do feel like this needs to be said. So for us 90s kids, Hades is not the blue guy with fiery, flamey hair that we see in the animated movie Hercules. That's not the accurate portrayal of him in this universe.
Hades isn't necessarily evil in Greek mythology. Sometimes he is, sometimes he's not. He's often against humanity. That is almost a lot there. And he does have a sense, sometimes he is portrayed as enjoying torture and enjoying his role as torturer of the souls of the dead. But in most things, he is portrayed as someone who is jaded and bitter against his lot in life and against the Olympians.
It's kind of ironic. I know we're supposed to be talking about Assassin's Creed, but Greek mythology is just tied into it at this point. It is really interesting to me how many of the Greek gods are upset with or bitter towards or even pissed off at the Olympians. You would think at some level they would want to stop pissing all these other gods off. You know what I mean?
I hear you a lot, but it doesn't make good storytelling if they decide to do that.
True.
So as a way to appease her, Hades does give Persephone her own realm of the underworld, which she makes into Elysium. Now, this is a big deterrence from Greek mythology, because Elysium is a place that exists in the underworld. I think a lot of people equate Olympus with a realm of heaven, like if you want to equate it to Christian theology, but I would say Elysium is actually closer to that. That's where you go if you've done good deeds, if you've been a good hero, been a good human being.
Even though it's in the underworld.
Yes. You can go there. It's a paradise. You can even try for a point of rebirth in Elysium. In this way, it's a place where Persephone rules, and she makes it all springtime because she's the goddess of springtime. So Hades briefly interacts with Cassandra in the Atlantis simulation, fighting the Greek mercenary after she succeeds in providing the underworld with extra security. So this is the Fate of Atlantis, Torment of Hades DLC. And basically something happened. Cassandra kills Cerberus, and so Hades is like, well, now I don't have security. So she has to go around to all the souls of the fallen heroes, Heracles, Theseus, Perseus, all these heroes, and basically convince them to defend the underworld. And so after she does that, he decides to fight her for whatever reason, because he hates humans.
Well, it is kind of, I don't know. It's a pretty big ask for her to go and ask people to defend the underworld, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like he would be more grateful.
But it's Hades. So this is the last point I have for Hades because I'll do all the behind the scenes at the end with all of them because they're very interesting. But this one just makes me laugh. So Hades attends a summit of they're called the Sister Realms of the Underworld. And so that's the actual underworld. I forget what it's, the Fields of Punishment, Elysium, and Atlantis. So they attend a summit because Atlantis has basically discovered the solar flare that's coming. Well, everything just kind of like, they're all arguing about the best way to do it. And Hades just leaves saying that he is rather happy to embrace annihilation.
Well, he is the god of the underworld, so it's fitting.
Right. I just like that he's like, okay, yeah, we had a good run. Let's
we're good. We're good.
Let's call it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I will give him that.
Yeah. So that's Hades. That's all we know about Hades. Maybe in future games we'll get more information about all of this, and we'll have to come back to these, and they'll have longer things. But the next one is Poseidon, which we mainly see in the Fate of Atlantis, Judgment of Atlantis DLC. So he's the ruler of Atlantis. He is the god of the sea, but only Cassandra really calls him that. He's never called that by other Isu. So whatever that means. So Poseidon, as ruler of Atlantis, he creates this cycle in which Atlantis would be destroyed and reconstructed every 70 years if it was judged to be impure. No matter how many cycles it went through, it was always destroyed. It was never judged to be pure.
Never?
Never. Because we know Aletheia serves as Dicastes for this. And she basically says to Cassandra after she's lived it, no matter how many times I tried, I could not find a way to save Atlantis.
Wow.
So he gives Juno and Aida access to Atlantis to undertake Project Olympus. So where they end up experimenting on humans and they do all this. And through the events of the game, you as Cassandra as Aletheia discovers Project Olympus, yells at them, gets all kinds of angry. There's a big scene with Poseidon, and he bans Juno and Aida from Atlantis, as well as he bans all human experimentation on Atlantis. At the summit, Poseidon is also arguing there, and I believe he argues for a way to try to. He wants a solution that will save everybody. not just the Isu or the humans. So that's part of the tension between that. So that's Poseidon. Then we have Hermes, or Hermes. So he's an Isu, and unlike the previous two, he does survive the Great Catastrophe. Both Hades and Poseidon die in a solar flare, but thanks to his staff, he is able to survive that. He is a skilled craftsman and inventor, inventing the staff of Hermes, and as well as the wings of Hermes, which allows you to quick travel across the realms of the underworld. Which makes sense. He's the god of travelers, the wings, boots.
Now, the staff of Hermes is also the one that can prolong your life indefinitely.
Correct.
So
that's how he survives the Great Catastrophe.
Right. So I guess my question is, how does that staff, and maybe we've talked about this, how does that staff get out of his hands and into the hands of Cassandra? Does he give it to her?
No.
So do we know how it leaves Hermes?
We do not. At some point, Hermes comes across the mathematician Pythagoras, and he gives the staff to Pythagoras, who then, under the instructions of Aletheia, gives the staff to Cassandra. And that's how it gets to Cassandra.
Okay. Interesting.
So he was also present for the summit and the discussion of the solar flare, but he storms off. He just leaves very early on because he thinks they're all stupid. And this is a big point in this, is that in this world, Hermes loves Persephone. Mm-hmm. And they kind of have a affair going on.
Is that accurate to Greek mythology?
I'm not quite sure. I'm sure that in Greek mythology, Demeter would prefer that she be with Hermes instead of Hades, but I don't know if that's accurate to Greek mythology or not, but it's kind of a one-sided thing. Persephone is not really presented as this good, benevolent deity in Assassin's Creed. She very much views humans and everyone around her as her plaything, and she's bitter at her own imprisonment, rightfully so, and so she just takes it out on everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason I joined all these three together is because these are the three Isu that you mainly interact with, and Persephone, that you mainly interact with in the Fate of Atlantis DLC for AC Odyssey. And so they take a very major role in teaching Cassandra how to access the staff, which then translates to Layla.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what this story really proves to show is more into this theory that the Isu are not of one mind on how to deal with humans or how they should relate to humans.
Or even the opinions they have about humans.
Right. And so, you have this Isu human civil war. And really before this, we had all kind of assumed that it was the Isu versus humanity, and they were all against humanity. But no, that's not the case, really. They could not agree how to fight, or even if they should fight humanity. And I think that's part of the reason why humanity gave them such a difficult time, because humanity was united by Eve in this move to okay, we're going to free ourselves from the Isu. We are united in this one cause, and the Isu are split, and then the solar flare happens and they don't know what to do.
I also do feel though, in all myths where there are humans and other personified beings like humans, whether it's Isu or gods or something else, I feel in all of these stories, humanity does our best when we're the underdog, when we're overlooked, when we are underestimated. I feel that we as just people have a scrappy nature to us, where we're going to rise to the occasion and we're going to prove you wrong, especially Americans, I think, have that kind of intrinsically to just our spirits. And so I feel like humans, at least in this Assassin's Creed universe, also have this quality about them where they do their best when they're underestimated, because they have that desire to prove you wrong. And I think you also see that a lot in Desmond too.
Right. And I think that you see this in Desmond, especially in the end, in his end, when he's talking to Minerva and Juno. And I think it's a thing around humanity that, like, when we're pushed against the wall, when the world, like when we're playing against an unfair system, eventually we're just going to say, we're not going to play by your system anymore.
Right.
And I think for a being like the Isu, who have had supremacy for God knows how long, and who never ever thought that these slaves or these lesser beings would give them trouble, the sheer audacity of moving against them and the tactics would take them by surprise.
I agree with that. I very much agree with that.
I mean, it was the same thing. When you want to talk about the Revolutionary War, yes, we got a lot of help from Germany and France in fighting, and Spain in fighting the British people and like foreign powers. But one thing that took the British so much by surprise is that eventually the colonists just refused to meet them on the British terms of warfare.
Yeah, that's correct. So I know you wanted to go into the fun facts behind the scenes first, but I think we should do our mid-break before.
Okay, let's do that.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love, starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Today's top story, the flavor merger of the century between the Peanut Butter Group and Chocolatey Corp. Joining me is a PBC executive.
Thanks for having me, Barry.
Now, how did you know the merger and the byproduct of it, Jif peanut butter and chocolate flavored spread, would be a success?
You know, it was a gut feeling, a rumbling, if you will. Besides, they're two titans of taste.
Very true. Goes great with pretzels.
And pancakes.
Apples too, I bet. Try Jif PBC today.
Makose! Shoot! Shoot the flying demon!
Malaka! Malaka! Malaka!
Even now, faced as I am with the truth of your cold words, I refuse, because I believe things can still change. I may never succeed. The assassins may struggle another 1,000 years in vain, but we will not stop.
All right. So the first thing I have to tell y'all about is that we have a Patreon. You can join it. We've only got a couple people on the Patreon, so we haven't done any patron episodes yet. So if you want to join us on the show, definitely sign up to be a patron at the Mentor Assassin tier, and you can come on the show with us. If you sign up for a tier that's higher than that, you can also come on the show with us, and you'll get special rewards there too. And if you sign up at certain levels, you'll even get your name read out on the show every week. So the other thing I have to tell you about, this is the other thing that helps us a lot as a new-ish show, is reviews. So if you haven't reviewed us yet, definitely go and leave us a great 5-star review and we will read it out on the show. So I do have one to read today, and this one comes from LVCC13. And she says, nothing is true except that this is an awesome podcast. 5 stars. I absolutely love this podcast. The Cups are great at breaking down the extremely convoluted lore of Assassin's Creed. Every episode makes me want to play the games even more. If you're wanting to learn more about Assassin's Creed, I highly recommend this podcast. Thank you so much for that awesome review. And also, I have to tell you about our Discords. We've got 2 of them. As you may know, Twitter is kind of collapsing in on itself is maybe the right way to phrase that. Usually our social media presence is on Twitter, but we also have a Discord. So definitely come join the Discord if you are concerned you might not be able to keep up with us on Twitter anymore. We're still there, but in the case that it fails, definitely join the Discord. You can join our Cups Podcasting and More Discord server, which is my favorite place on the internet. I always say that, and it's true. But we have a great group of people over there. We always talk about Assassin's Creed, Dragon Age, Star Wars, Mass Effect, Animal Crossing, all kinds of games, and just share our lives together. And it's a great place to hang out. If you're looking for more podcasts, though, you can also join the Robots Radio Discord. We've got some channels over there, but there are so many amazing podcasts in the Robots Radio Network. So if you're looking for a new one, definitely hop over there and find another podcast to listen to because they're all amazing. And then the very last thing that I have to talk about is my playthrough. I'm still in Assassin's Creed 3. I haven't made much headway on it, mostly because I've just started a new job and I'm super busy again. So I'm trying to get back into it after Thanksgiving, maybe the day after Thanksgiving and that weekend when hopefully things will slow down a little bit. But right now I just haven't made a ton of progress yet. So that's all I got for the mid-break, Austin, unless you have something else you want to add.
I do not.
All right, well, let's get back to it.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
As a sports fan, I have to confess. Sometimes the game gets kind of boring. That's when I unfold my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and use multi-window viewing on its large screen. Boring game? I'm checking out my fantasy baseball league at the same time. Score still 1-0? I'm replying to emails in the other window, scoring points with the boss. Semifinals finally getting exciting? I'm buying tickets to the finals and booking my flights. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com.
Gatorade is the #1 proven electrolyte blend designed to hydrate better than water. So you can lose more sweat and raise your game. Gatorade, is it in you?
And I know I was really nice to you, but actually I'm just another Templar plot twist. And yes, I would like very much for you to be controlled by a magic space wizard so that you can murder me.
Requiescat in pace.
I am not a father anymore. I am not a husband. I am not a Magi. I am a hidden one.
Yes. We are the hidden ones.
All right, so I've got some behind the scenes facts for you. This one is very funny. So Hades wears an apple of Eden as a belt buckle.
Does it have power?
I have no idea.
I feel like that could be potentially disastrous on an injury level.
Yeah, but he has an apple of Eden, seemingly as a belt buckle. So while Aida is Hades' equivalent in the Etruscan belief, they are not the same individual in Isu. So this is the first time that in Isu's separate personalities in other mythologies is a different person. Most of the time when we have other belief systems that interact, they're the same person. Well, this is the first time that we have two different individuals.
Yeah, no, that is interesting. I feel like that's pretty significant, actually.
I would agree. So, similar to ancient Greek mythology, you will not find many statues of Hades in AC Odyssey, which tracks. I mean, Hades wasn't really venerated that much. He was respected, but he wasn't really worshipped. There was a general fear that kind of stood with there because he was god of the underworld, and he's not the god of death. That is an important distinction, because Thanatos is the god of dead. He is a servant of Hades, but Hades is not death himself. And so, but there is this kind of fear, and Zeus is kind of the king and the lifted, the venerated one up, and so Hades is kind of his rival a little bit, and so he's not as venerated as much.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there is an apprehension in regard to the view of Hades. But this reminds me, if you play Dragon Age, this reminds me of how the Dalish elves view the dread wolf, Fen'Harel. They very much view him as like, okay, that's not necessarily a god that I would want to worship. That's a god that I want to stay over there, away from me.
Which is similar to how Norse mythology views Loki as well.
Right.
And so the mural depicting Poseidon in Assassin's Creed Odyssey is based on a painting from the late classical period depicting the battle of giants and gods. So if you don't know what that is, they're after the gods defeat the Titans, which that's like Kronos and Atlas and all of these other beings that ruled the earth before the Greek gods. After they defeated them, Gaia basically was pissed that the gods had killed her children, the Titans. And so her with the pit Tartarus, which is where all monsters come from, decided to get together, and they birthed these giants to oppose the Olympians. And so it's another war that happens there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How much of your Greek mythology knowledge comes from the Rick Riordan series?
It's kind of like, so you know how we used to have professors who always said, like, don't use Wikipedia as your source, but it's a good starting point.
Yeah.
That's how I am with the Riordan verse. So I know it's not factual 100% of the time, but I do give it a good set. And this is like, this, it is true. Like, that's part of the Heroes of Olympus series from Rick Riordan, but it is actually also part of Greek mythology.
Sure. I was just curious.
Yeah. And according to the art of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the trident amulets worn by Barnabas and Maiden are reference to Poseidon, which, you know, a lot of Greeks would have things that were references to Poseidon because they were a seafaring culture. And so they would have reference to Poseidon because they wanted to be protected on the sea.
Yeah, I feel like that would be especially true, like if you're from a fishing village, or you are a fisherman, or you are like a captain on a boat, or whatever. If you are involved with the water every day, I feel like that will be especially true for you.
But if you're like more inland, like say north of Athens, to where up closer to Macedonia and all of that area, you're probably going to venerate a little more people like Zeus or Demeter or other things, because you're going to be more agrarian than fishing and all of that.
Right.
So Hermes first appears in a Facebook game called Project Legacy.
Okay, so did you play the Facebook game?
I did not.
Oh, you're not a real Assassin's Creed fan then, Austin.
Did you play the Dragon Age game?
The mobile game, Heroes of Dragon Age? Yeah, I did.
Not the Heroes of Dragon Age, but the other one that used to be on the BioWare website or whatever, or the Dragon Age website.
I don't know what you're talking about, so no.
We talked about it on the episode.
Oh, The Last Court?
Yeah.
No, it was deactivated before I could play it, but I would have played it.
Mm. Okay, so this is what I found very, very interesting. So the staff of Hermes is actually called the staff of Hermes Trismegistus. This was an actual historical character.
So like a human.
Yes.
Interesting.
That is often, by most historians and most like scholars of like classical Greek mythology and literature, believe that Hermes T is what I'm going to call him. Hermes T and Hermes the god are not the same person. Assassin's Creed Odyssey says that they are.
So here's my question. And you may not know the answer to this. So, like in Greek mythological accounts, whether it's the Iliad or the Odyssey or other myths from that time period, are there places where they refer to Hermes and they mean the human rather than the god?
So he's almost always referred to as Hermes T. So this is interesting. It is during the Renaissance, it was accepted that Hermes T was a contemporary of Moses. Basically, he has hermeneutic writings, which I just thought was interesting. In Islamic tradition, he is associated with one of their prophets, Idris, which is often associated with the Jewish patriarch Enoch. In Egyptian circles, he is often equated with the god Thoth, who is the god of writing and science. And our Hermes in Assassin's Creed Odyssey is an inventor and creates a bunch of things and has fathers in medicine. Like the staff of Hermes T is often a symbol of medicine, and Hermes is the god of medicine.
That's really interesting. I've never heard that before.
I know, but it's very interesting. Especially, I had never heard this. This just shows that seminary education is not perfect, because I had never heard this connection to Enoch or Idris or anything like that.
Right.
But the theory about him being a contemporary of Moses is kind of redacted later in Christianity. They said this was not true.
Gotcha.
This is probably just Renaissance scholars trying to equate Christianity more with Greek culture. But yeah, those are my fun facts.
Very interesting. So I don't have anything else to add about any of these three Isu. So since we're running not short on time, but I know we want to give ample opportunity for us to talk about the Assassin's Creed news that came out recently. So I will transition us to that. To sum it up, basically, Ubisoft has announced that Assassin's Creed Valhalla will not be getting a new game plus. So what are your thoughts on that, Austin? I know they said other things too, but that's the big thing.
Well, there's two big things that I want to talk about, really, that I think are important to the game. So basically what this article was talking about is we're coming up on the basically end of life of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like they're not going to release, the end of their content releasing is coming to an end. And when they proposed this whole, we're going to have 2 years of post-launch content, they said in that statement, they said that they would consider the new game, they would only consider the new game plus after all the post-launch content had been available. And their argument is that they didn't want to release content that people on a new game plus would have to go, well, I've still got, 30 hours of gameplay before I can even access this new game content. Makes sense.
That makes total sense. And I don't disagree with that. But did their post say that they wouldn't be doing a new game plus at this time or ever?
Their post said that they wouldn't. They are exploring a new game plus, but they wouldn't want to implement it until after all the content had been released. So we have never been promised a new game plus for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I think that's an important thing to step forward. We have been kind of led to believe that a new game plus is possibly coming in the future, but we have never been promised that feature in AC Valhalla. It's always been a thing of if it's possible. Now, I do want to talk about why I 100% agree with their decision to not do it. I don't agree with their timing, but I do agree with their position and their statement of not doing it. So in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, part of your reward system, part of what you're moving through is based on you not being able to access areas until you're at a certain power. And that has to do with story elements. It also has to do with accessing part of AC Valhalla and its exploration is you access gear and you find all of that gear, and that's part of completing the game and 100%ing the maps and finding all the collectibles. Letting you start as a new game plus would make, basically, if I took my new game plus, my game and started a new game plus, I would be at maximum power in leveling up, and I would be able to have access to all the gear at its maximum level right from the start. And the way the gameplay works, there wouldn't be a lot for me to do. I would just be running through the story. I wouldn't really be doing all of the side stuff that you have to do to access all of these statements. Now, they could have done something along the lines of, okay, you don't keep your gear, but you can keep your abilities and your levels that you found. Well, I think that you would still have a lot of stuff that would keep you from playing the game. A new game plus in the way Valhalla is set up would discourage you from actually playing the game. There would not be a lot for you to do.
Mm-hmm. I get that. I understand that reasoning. However, what I have to disagree with you about is your interpretation of the article. Because you said basically that they could still add New Game Plus after this last chapter is released, but I'm just going to read straight from the article. And they said, while we will not be adding New Game Plus to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we do have more content on the way before we wrap up. That to me reads like it's not happening ever.
No, I was saying that they could do it. I didn't say they were going to. It is possible for them to do it, but
right.
If they did it, it's not a good move for them. That was I never was on the thing that they were going to do it. I know that they say they're not.
I wasn't saying that you said they were going to do it. I said you said they could do it after they released the last chapter, but I still think this sounds to me like they're closing the door to a potential for the New Game Plus on Assassin's Creed Valhalla, period, ever.
And they could go back on this article.
They could. That's absolutely true.
All I was saying that it is possible for that to happen. But my point is that I agree with their decision to not do it. What I said was that they could do this after the last chapter, but I agree with their decision to not do it. The only thing that I wish they had done is I wish that when they started this journey 2 years ago, they would have realized and said, hey, this game is not going to have a New Game Plus. Like the system just doesn't really work for it.
I mean, I guess I understand why you would want to play maybe one more time, like as the other gender Eivor, but I just feel like it does not have the same replayability as other games do. And even though it's like the most RPG to ever RPG in Assassin's Creed, it still does not have those kind of traditional RPG aspects that allow you to really create and customize your own character in the way that would give you a lot of replayability.
And I will say that there are choices you can make that make the story of Valhalla turn out differently. So there is that element of replayability that you can get different results. And there are also different weapons, fighting styles that you could commit to and say, oh, I really want to play as this. One of the things that I think they could have done that would have made replayability a little better is not give us enough skill points to get every skill in the game. So we would have to commit to a path of, a range build or a melee build or a sneaky stabby build, and giving that kind of thing where we wouldn't have enough power points basically to get every single ability tree. I mean, I've shown you when I hit the auto thing and it lights up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
So I think that probably would have given a little more replayability, but because they didn't, I can just go in. If I want to play AC Valhalla and do it with a different style of combat, and see what it's like, I can just go into my game, equip all those weapons, and just go in and fight something. Like, I can do that right now. I don't need to go in and like actually build it up and respec and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's just part of my point, that like there is not a lot of replayability. And I will say, to your comment of like this game being huge, it's not much bigger than Odyssey was.
I mean, I think Odyssey is a huge game as well. I was just gonna say, I think it is interesting to me, and I know that you're just one person, but I've heard this from multiple people across the fandom. It's interesting to me how often Odyssey is replayed versus now it feels like Valhalla is not being replayed at all. Like, I remember when you got Odyssey when it came out, you played that game non-stop. Like, you did not put it down. That was the only game you played for months, if not a year, nonstop. That has not been the same for Valhalla.
No, I mean, Valhalla very much is, I log in to play new content and then I put it down and don't pick it up again.
Right.
The whole aesthetic of Valhalla, the whole storyline, everything about it, it was interesting. It was interesting and it was fun to play, but it just, it's ready. I'm ready to move past it. And similar to like how I was ready to move past Odyssey.
Yeah.
When it got to that point. And I don't know. I mean, I play the Assassin's Creed games like I reread a book. Like, I want to hear the story again. I just want to experience the world again. And I think that Valhalla very much gave me a world I didn't really want to experience that much.
Do you have a reason for why?
I think it's just that I can't really put my mind on it. And Valhalla is predictable. And you know, when you walk into, when we talk about the Ezio trilogy, let's really talk about the endings of the Ezio trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
When Ezio walks into the Vatican vault, when Desmond walks into the Colosseum vault, when you get that vision with all those things about Altair, those were surprising things to me.
When you literally come on Altair's corpse, like skeleton.
Yes.
Yeah, that's shocking.
And like, I was like, oh my God, this is a big revelation. And Valhalla has that. There is a huge revelation at the end of Valhalla that I went, oh my gosh, this is going to be a whole new direction for the series. But the getting there just didn't feel earned. There's an ending to Valhalla that's very similar to the ending of Assassin's Creed 2 when Ezio is with Rodrigo and he's basically just like, I thought killing you would avenge my family and make me feel better, but now I know, like, I don't want that. Like, this is not the life I want for me. This is not the person I want to be. And he lets Rodrigo live. There's a similar-esque scene in the end of Valhalla with Eivor, but it just doesn't feel earned to me. Whereas like Ezio, you go through this really long time with him and he sits down at the end of Assassin's Creed 2 and he's like, you know, I'm really kind of done. And you're like, you know what? Yeah, you've gone through a lot and a lot has happened to you. And it's just not the case with Eivor. And even with Cassandra, like, I had a bad ending to Odyssey when I finished Odyssey, and I still picked up the game and started playing it right again. And it was just because the way Cassandra and the voice acting and everything was portrayed with her just really made me like, wow, this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's part of it with Valhalla. But there are some quality of life improvements coming with Valhalla that they announced. And one of them, while New Game Plus has been requested since day one of Valhalla and people beating Valhalla, there has also been another game mechanic that has been requested since day one that people have want, and they are giving it to us, and it is fighting with your hood up.
Yes. Yeah. I was reading the article and I knew both of those things. And I was like, okay, so they put the New Game Plus announcement right before the Hood announcement, hoping that them talking about releasing the Hood update would eclipse the New Game Plus update.
Right. Which does let you feel more like an assassin. And I think a lot of their changes to Valhalla have involved a lot of stealth and around stealth, because I started the game over recently and I was committed to like actually trying to do it like I would play a regular Assassin's Creed. You know, I put everything on its max difficulty so that if I got into combat, it would not be good like it would be in the other Assassin's Creed games. But that's really... So it'll be interesting, and I'll be interested what other content that they release after the last chapter, because it's the last chapter.
If they release any new content after the last chapter.
Right, but the last chapter and title update comes on December 6th, which is about 3 weeks from now.
It's a big week for the week of video games.
Yes, and so...
the Game Awards... the last chapter, Dragon Age Day, Dragon Age Absolution. In Cupland, we are going to be very busy that week.
Yes.
I just wanted also to let you guys know that Dawn of Ragnarok was nominated for a Grammy for Best Score Soundtrack for Video Games. And now that's a Grammy nomination. They haven't won yet. We'll see who wins, but it's pretty cool that it has received that kind of nomination.
Right. Which, you know, that's interesting because this podcast launched around the same time as Dawn of Ragnarok. So
yeah.
That's where it kind of goes with that. And so we'll just kind of like, that's really all. In summary, I think that the decision to not do New Game Plus is a good one. I think this will free them up to kind of put Valhalla aside and really embrace these other projects that I think there's a lot of energy around. And so I think this is a good thing.
Well, do you have anything else to talk about, whether it's Isu or Assassin's Creed news?
I will be playing the last chapter, so maybe we'll get some review on that at some point. Maybe it'll just be me talking because I'm not going to spoil it for Sheldon.
Or maybe you might stream some of it.
Maybe. We'll see.
Cool. Okay, well, that's all we've got for today's episode. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. You can find us on Twitter at Assassin's Creed Lorecast, or you could talk to us on Discord in the Robots Radio Discord or our personal Discord server, both links found in this episode's descriptions. Thank you for listening, and always stay to the shadows to serve the light, Assassins.
Want to live better? We got a lot of work to do. Join Chris Hemsworth in National Geographic's new Disney Plus original series, Limitless. Live Better Now.
I'm diving headfirst into cutting-edge science to uncover 3 powerful secrets to living better right now. The growth that occurs through any challenging experience is really what we seek.
Chris Hemsworth stars in Limitless. Live Better Now. Now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
It's showtime.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Alien Earth, the official podcast. Each week, host Adam Rogers is joined by guests, including the show's creator, cast, and crew, in this exclusive companion podcast. They will explore story elements, deep dive into character motivations, and offer an episode-by-episode behind-the-scenes breakdown of each terrifying chapter in this new series. Search FX's Alien Earth wherever you listen to podcasts.